Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Nano and Honey podcast. How are you today? Today, I am here with Honey, and today we are going to talk about needs and wants.
Hello, everyone. I am very happy to be here today. Let's start our conversation.
Honey, I think this is one of those topics that sounds very simple, but when you really think about it, it can become quite difficult. We all need things, but we also want a lot of things. Sometimes I honestly don't know where the line is.
I know exactly what you mean. Sometimes I go shopping because I need one thing, and I come home with 5 things. Then I look at everything and ask myself, did I really need all of this? Most of the time, the answer is no.
That happens to me too. I think shopping can make us forget the difference between a need and a want. We see something beautiful, we like it, and suddenly our brain tells us that we need it.
Yes, and I think advertising makes it even harder. We see a new phone, new clothes, new shoes, or a new product, and the advertisement makes us feel like our life will be much better if we buy it.
Exactly. And sometimes the product really is useful, but sometimes we just want it because it looks nice or because other people have it.
That's a very important difference. A need is something we really need for our daily life, while a want is something we would like to have but can live without.
That's a simple way to explain it. For example, food is a need. We need food to live. But ordering an expensive pizza every Friday night is probably a want.
Exactly. We need food, but we don't need every type of food we see.
Water is another easy example. We need water, but we don't need an expensive bottle with a special design.
That's true. We need water, but sometimes companies make a simple bottle look like a luxury product.
And somehow we start thinking, maybe I need that.
Exactly. I think we've all been there.
Let me ask you something. What is one thing you bought recently that you wanted but didn't really need?
Let me think. I bought a new pair of headphones recently.
Did you need new headphones?
Not really. My old headphones were still working. They weren't perfect, but they worked. I saw a new pair online and they looked really nice. They had a better design and some extra features, so I bought them.
So that was definitely a want.
Yes, I have to admit it. I wanted them. I didn't need them.
And how did you feel after buying them?
At first, I was very happy. I opened the box, tried them on, and thought they were amazing. But after a few days, the excitement became normal. Now I use them like my old headphones.
That's interesting, because I think that happens with many things. When we first buy something new, we feel excited. But after some time, it becomes just another thing we own.
Exactly. That's why I now try to wait before buying something expensive. If I still want it after a few days, I think about it again. Sometimes I realize I don't want it anymore.
I started doing that too. I call it the waiting rule. If I see something I really want, I wait at least 1 or 2 days before buying it.
Does it work?
Most of the time, there have been many things I wanted on Monday but completely forgot about by Thursday.
That's actually a very good sign.
Yes, it shows that I didn't really need them. I just wanted them at that moment.
I think emotions can make us spend a lot of money. When we're happy, sad, bored, or stressed, sometimes we buy things to change how we feel.
Oh, I definitely agree with that. When I have a stressful day, sometimes I open a shopping app without even thinking about it.
Same here. And then you start looking at one product, then another, and suddenly you have 10 things in your shopping cart.
Exactly. And the worst part when the website says only 2 left.
That sentence is dangerous.
It really is. Suddenly I think I have to buy this now before it's gone.
That's one of the tricks that makes us feel like we have to make a quick decision. But most of the time, we can simply close the website and think about it.
That's true. We don't have to buy something just because someone says it might sell out.
Exactly. If we really need something, we can think about whether it fits our budget and whether it is actually useful.
I like that word, budget. A budget is basically a plan for how we will use our money.
Yes, and having a budget can help us understand the difference between needs and wants. First, we can think about the things we must pay for, like food, rent, electricity, transportation, and other important expenses.
Then we can see how much money is left for things we want.
Exactly. That way, we don't spend all our money on wants and then struggle to pay for our needs.
That's probably one of the biggest mistakes people make. They spend money on fun things first and think about important expenses later.
Yes, and that can create a lot of stress. Imagine spending your salary on clothes, restaurants, and entertainment during the first 2 weeks of the month. Then you have 2 more weeks, but almost no money left.
I've actually done that before.
Really?
Yes, when I was younger, I didn't think much about saving. I got paid, bought some things I wanted, went out with friends, ordered food, and enjoyed myself. Then suddenly I would look at my bank account and think, where did all my money go?
That's funny. I think many people have had that moment.
It wasn't funny at the time, though. I had to become much more careful after that.
What changed for you?
I started asking myself one simple question before buying something. Do I need this or do I just want this?
That's a very powerful question because it gives you a moment to stop and think.
Exactly. Sometimes the answer is, I want it, and that's okay. Wanting something isn't bad. The problem is buying every want without thinking about the cost.
I completely agree. We shouldn't feel guilty about buying things we enjoy. We just need to make sure our wants don't control our money.
That's a great way to put it.
And I think there is another important question. We should ask ourselves, can I afford this?
Yes, something can be a want and still be okay to buy if we have enough money for it.
Exactly. If I have paid my bills, saved some money, and still have enough left, I can buy something I want without feeling bad.
That's where balance comes in. We don't have to stop enjoying our money. We just need to use it wisely.
I agree. Money should help us live our lives, but we should also make sure our future is safe.
And I think that's something that many of us learn as we get older. When we're younger, we often think only about today. Later, we start thinking about next month, next year, and even the next 10 years.
That's true. Saving money can feel boring when you're thinking about something you want right now, but future you will probably be very thankful.
I like that idea. The future you is basically another version of yourself.
Exactly. And future you might need that money for something important.
So maybe the real question isn't, can I buy this? Maybe it's, should I buy this right now?
I think that's a much better question.
Yes, because sometimes we can afford something, but that doesn't mean buying it is the best choice. I might have enough money for a new jacket, for example, but if I already have 5 jackets at home, maybe I should keep the money instead.
Exactly. I think that is where things become interesting. Something can be affordable and still be unnecessary. Just because we have the money doesn't mean we have to spend it.
That's true. I used to think if I have the money, why not buy it? But now I think about what else I could do with that money. Maybe I could save it, use it for a future trip, or keep it for an emergency.
I think about the same thing. Sometimes I imagine the money as a choice. If I spend $50 on something I want today, that $50 cannot be used for something else tomorrow.
That's a very simple way to look at it. Every time we spend money, we're also choosing not to spend that money somewhere else.
Exactly. And sometimes the thing we don't buy can be more valuable than the thing we buy.
I like that. Let me give you an example. Imagine I have $100. I can spend all of it on a nice dinner, or I can spend $20 on food and save $80.
Right. And neither choice is always wrong. If it is a special occasion and you really want to enjoy a nice dinner, spending some money can be perfectly fine. But if you're doing it every week, it can become a problem.
That's the important part. One expensive dinner probably won't destroy your budget, but many small expenses can become a big problem.
Yes, and small expenses are sometimes harder to notice because each one looks harmless.
Exactly. $5 here, $10 there, $15 for delivery, another $10 for coffee, and suddenly you've spent a lot without realizing it.
Coffee is a good example. I love coffee and I don't want to stop drinking it. But buying expensive coffee from a cafe every day can cost much more than making coffee at home.
That's true. I calculated it once and I was honestly surprised.
How much were you spending?
I don't remember the exact number, but it was enough to make me think maybe I should make coffee at home more often.
Sometimes seeing the total is what finally changes our habits.
Exactly. When we look at one coffee, it doesn't seem expensive, but when we multiply it by many days, the number becomes much bigger.
That's why I think tracking your spending can be useful. You don't have to write down every single thing forever, but doing it for 1 month can show you where your money's going.
I agree. The first time I tracked my spending, I discovered that I was spending more money on small things than I expected.
What kind of things?
Snacks, drinks, food delivery, and little online purchases. None of them were very expensive alone, but together they added up.
That's exactly what happens. Sometimes we don't notice small spending because we think it's only $10.
Yes, but $10 10 times is $100.
Exactly. And $100 can be useful for something much more important.
This is why I think learning about money is really important. Nobody teaches us everything about spending when we're young.
That's true. Many people learn about money by making mistakes. They get their first salary, spend too much, and then slowly understand how budgeting works.
I think that's how I learned too. My first salary felt like a huge amount of money.
What did you do with it?
I bought something I had wanted for a long time, took my family out for a meal, and spent some money with friends. I was very happy that day.
That actually sounds nice. Did you save anything?
A little, but not as much as I should have.
I think that's normal for a first salary. It's exciting to finally earn your own money.
Exactly. I remember looking at the money and thinking, I worked for this. I finally can buy something for myself.
And that's a good feeling. We shouldn't make money only about saving and never enjoying it.
I agree completely. If we save every dollar and never enjoy anything, life can become stressful too.
Exactly. The goal is balance. We need money for today, money for tomorrow, and sometimes money for fun.
That's probably the simplest money plan. Pay for your needs, save for your future, and enjoy some of your money responsibly.
Yes, and I think the word responsibly is important.
Definitely. It means we can enjoy ourselves without creating problems for our future.
Exactly. For example, if I have enough money for a movie with friends, I can go and enjoy it. But if I don't have enough money to pay my electric bill, going to the movie is probably not the right choice.
That's a very clear example. The electric bill is a need. The movie is a want.
Right. And sometimes we have to choose the need first.
But what about something like a phone? Is a phone a need or a want?
That's not always easy. I think it depends on the person. Today, a phone can be a need because people use it for work, communication, banking, maps, and many other things. But buying the newest phone every year is usually a want.
I agree. If my phone works, well, I don't necessarily need the newest model.
Exactly. But if your phone is broken and you need it for work, buying a new phone can become a need.
That's a really important point. The same thing can be a need for one person and a want for another person.
Yes. And that's why there isn't always one perfect answer. We have to think about our own situation.
Clothes are another good example. We need clothes, but do we need 20 pairs of shoes?
Probably not.
I know some people who have so many shoes that they could probably open a shoe store.
I might know a few people like that too. And the funny thing is, they still say I have nothing to wear.
That's one of the biggest mysteries in life.
Full closet and nothing to wear.
Exactly. I think before buying new clothes, we should look at what we already have. Sometimes we already own something very similar.
Yes. I once wanted to buy a black shirt because I thought I didn't have one. Then I opened my closet and found 3 black shirts.
3?
Yes, and they were all very similar.
So what did you do?
I closed the shopping app and decided I didn't need another one.
That's a victory.
It really felt like one. I saved money and avoided putting another shirt in a closet that was already full.
I think moments like that can slowly change our spending habits. We don't have to become perfect with money. We just have to become a little more aware.
Exactly. Awareness is a great word here. When we understand where our money's going, it becomes easier to make better decisions.
And I think that's something everyone can practice. You don't need to earn a lot of money to start making better financial choices.
Absolutely. Even if someone has a small income, they can still ask, is this a need or a want? That simple question can help them think before spending.
I think that question can actually become a habit. Before buying something, we can stop for a few seconds and ask ourselves why we want it. Sometimes we really need it, sometimes we really love it, and sometimes we just saw it online 5 minutes ago.
That last one happens a lot. Sometimes we don't even want something until we see an advertisement for it. Then suddenly we start thinking about it all day.
Exactly. I recently saw an advertisement for a very expensive watch. Before seeing the advertisement, I had never thought about buying that watch. After seeing it, I started thinking maybe I should get one.
That's a perfect example of how advertising can create a want. You didn't wake up that morning thinking you needed a new watch. The advertisement simply made the product look attractive.
Right. And there is nothing wrong with advertising. Businesses need to advertise their products. But as customers, we need to remember that the purpose of an advertisement is usually to make us want to buy something.
Exactly. The advertisement might say, you deserve this, or make your life better, or don't miss this opportunity. Those words can make us feel that buying the product is somehow necessary.
And sometimes we believe them without thinking. I think one useful habit is to wait before buying something because the feeling may disappear.
Yes, if you still want the item after a few days, you can think about it again. But if you completely forget about it, you probably didn't really need it.
I like that idea because it gives us control. Instead of the advertisement telling us what to buy, we decide for ourselves.
Exactly. We should be the ones making the decision.
Another thing I think about is quality. Sometimes buying a better quality product can actually save money in the long run.
That's true. For example, if you buy very cheap shoes and they break after 2 months, you might have to buy another pair. A more expensive pair might last much longer.
Right, so the cheapest option isn't always the best option.
Exactly. But we also have to be careful because expensive doesn't always mean better.
That's an important point. A high price doesn't automatically mean high quality.
Yes, we should compare products, read reviews, think about how often we will use them, and decide whether the price makes sense.
I think that is especially important with electronics. There are always new phones, laptops, headphones, watches, and other devices.
And every year there's a new model that is supposed to be better than the old one.
Exactly. Sometimes the difference is very small, but the price difference is huge.
That's why I don't like upgrading just because a new model comes out. If my current device works well, I prefer to keep using it.
Same here. I would rather spend that money on something more useful.
Like travel?
Definitely like travel. If I have a choice between buying a new phone that I don't really need and taking a short trip with my family, I think I know which one I would choose.
I would choose the trip too. Experiences can be much more valuable than things.
Exactly. And I think this brings us to another important question. What do we really value?
That's a big question.
It is, but I think it matters. If we know what's important to us, we can spend our money in a way that supports our goals.
I completely agree. For example, if someone loves traveling, they might choose to spend less money on clothes and more money on travel.
Right. If someone wants to buy a house, they might decide to eat at home more often and save the extra money.
And if someone wants to start a business, they might save money for equipment, education, or other business costs.
Exactly. Our financial choices should connect to our goals.
I really like that idea. Instead of thinking, I can't buy this, we can think, I'm choosing not to buy this because I have a bigger goal.
That's a much more positive way to think about saving.
Yes, saving can feel like losing something when we only think about what we cannot buy. But if we think about what we're saving for, it becomes exciting.
That's very true. If I save $100 because I want to travel, I'm not simply saying no to restaurants or shopping. I'm saying yes to my future trip.
Exactly. You're moving your money from one goal to another.
That's a really good way to explain it.
And this is where needs and wants become interesting. Sometimes a want today can stop us from reaching an important goal tomorrow.
Yes, imagine someone wants to buy a new television for $500, but they are also saving for a car. They have to decide which goal is more important right now.
Exactly. The television isn't necessarily bad, it's just a lower priority if the car is more important to them.
I think the word priority is really useful when talking about money.
Yes, a priority is something that is more important than other things. For example, paying rent can be a priority, while buying new shoes may not be.
And priorities can change depending on the situation. If my old shoes are broken and I need shoes for work, then buying new shoes becomes more important.
Right. That's why we shouldn't judge someone else's spending too quickly. We don't always know their situation.
That's a very important point. Something that looks like a want to us might actually be a need for another person.
Exactly. Maybe someone buys an expensive computer because they work from home. For one person, it might look like a luxury. For that person, it could be an important work tool.
And the same thing can happen with transportation. Someone might buy a car because they need to travel to work every day, while someone else might buy an expensive car simply because they want a nicer car.
Yes, the reason behind the purchase matters.
I think that's probably the biggest lesson here. Don't just ask, what am I buying? Ask, why am I buying it?
Exactly. That question can tell us a lot about our spending habits.
And sometimes the honest answer might be, because I was bored.
Or because it was on sale.
Oh yes, because it was on sale is one of my favorite excuses.
But something being on sale doesn't automatically mean we saved money.
That's so true. If I spend $50 on something I don't need just because it was discounted, I still spent money.
Exactly. A discount only saves you money if you were already planning to buy the product and the product is useful to you.
That's such an important idea. Sometimes a sale makes us spend more, not less.
Yes, imagine a store says, buy two, get one free. If you only needed one, buying three isn't necessarily saving money.
That's a great example. We need to think about what we actually need instead of letting the discount make the decision for us.
Exactly. A good deal is only a good deal when it's actually useful for you.
That's such an important point. Sometimes we see the words 50% off and immediately think we're saving money, but we forget that we are still spending money. If I spend $50 on something I don't need, I haven't really made a smart financial decision just because the original price was $100.
Exactly. A discount can be helpful when you already need something. For example, if I need new shoes and I find the shoes I like at a lower price, that's great. But if I buy 3 pairs of shoes only because they're on sale, I may actually be spending more than I planned.
I think stores understand our behavior very well. They know that people like discounts, limited time offers, and free gifts. Sometimes I see a message saying, sale ends tonight, and suddenly I feel like I have to make a decision immediately.
I know that feeling, but I've learned that most of the time I can wait. If I really need the product, I can think about it carefully. If I don't need it, the sale can end and my life will still be completely fine.
That's true. The world doesn't stop because we didn't buy a discounted jacket.
Exactly. And sometimes waiting can actually make you feel proud because you realize you controlled the decision instead of letting the advertisement control you.
I like that. It feels good when you close the shopping app and keep your money.
It really does. Sometimes saving money gives me more satisfaction than buying something.
That's interesting because saving used to feel boring to me. Now I actually enjoy seeing my savings grow.
Me too. There is something satisfying about reaching a savings goal. Even if the amount is small, you know that you made a decision today that can help you later.
Exactly. And I think saving becomes easier when you give the money a purpose.
Yes. If you simply say, I should save money, it can feel difficult. But if you say, I am saving for a new car, or I am saving for a vacation, or I am saving for emergencies, it feels much more meaningful.
That's very true.
A clear goal gives you a reason to say no to some wants.
And sometimes saying no today gives you something better tomorrow.
That's a great sentence. I think that's one of the most important ideas in personal finance.
I agree. We all want things now, but learning to wait can be very useful.
This reminds me of something called delayed gratification.
Yes, that's an interesting phrase. It sounds a little difficult, but the idea is actually simple.
It means choosing to wait for something better later instead of getting something you want immediately.
Exactly. Instead of spending $50 on something you want today, you might save that money for a bigger goal next month.
Right. It doesn't mean you can never enjoy your money. It simply means you can sometimes wait.
Yes, and learning to wait can help us make better decisions.
I think this is especially difficult with online shopping because everything is so easy. You see something, click a button, enter your payment details, and it's done.
Exactly. There's no time to think. The purchase can happen in less than a minute.
That's why I sometimes remove shopping apps from my phone.
Really?
Yes, if I don't have the app, I'm less likely to open it when I'm bored.
That's actually very smart. Sometimes changing our environment is easier than trying to control ourselves every time.
Exactly. If something is always in front of you, it's harder to ignore it.
That's true with food, too. If there are cookies sitting on the kitchen table, you may eat them. If they're not there, you probably won't.
So the same idea works with money. If shopping apps are always on your phone, you may shop more.
Exactly. Small changes in our environment can make good habits easier.
I think another useful habit is making a shopping list.
I love shopping lists. When I go to the supermarket without a list, I usually buy things I don't need.
Same here. A list gives me a plan. I can walk into the store, buy what I need, and leave.
Although sometimes I still see something interesting.
Of course, we're still human.
Exactly. But now I ask myself if it was on my list. If it wasn't, I think about whether I really need it.
That's a good habit. I also like comparing prices before buying something expensive.
Yes, I don't always buy the cheapest product, but I like knowing what my options are.
Sometimes one store sells something for $100 while another store has almost the same product for $70.
Exactly. Spending a few minutes comparing prices can save you a lot of money.
But we should also remember to compare quality, not just price.
Absolutely. If the $70 product breaks after 1 month and the $100 product lasts 5 years, the more expensive one might actually be the better choice.
Right, we have to look at the full picture.
That's why I like researching before making a big purchase. I read reviews, watch videos, and compare different options.
I do that too. Sometimes I spend more time researching a product than actually using it.
I know exactly what you mean. You watch 10 videos, read 20 reviews, and then finally decide you don't need the product.
That has happened to me more than once.
But at least you saved money.
That's true.
You know, I think another important part of managing money is talking about it.
Some people feel uncomfortable discussing money, even with close friends or family.
That's true. Money can be a sensitive topic. People may worry about being judged because they earn more, earn less, spend differently, or have debt.
Yes, but I think having healthy conversations about money can help us learn. We don't need to share private details. We can simply talk about habits, goals, and ideas.
I agree. Sometimes a friend can give you a useful idea that you never thought about.
Exactly. Maybe someone has a great way to save money, cook cheaper meals, or control online shopping.
And we can learn from their mistakes, too.
That's important. We don't have to make every financial mistake ourselves.
That's probably one of the best reasons to talk about money.
Yes, we can learn from other people's experiences while making our own decisions.
And I think the most important thing is not to compare our financial lives with other people.
I completely agree. Social media can make it look like everyone else is rich. You see expensive cars, beautiful houses, luxury vacations, and designer clothes, but you don't know the full story behind those pictures.
Exactly. Someone may look successful online, but have serious financial problems that nobody can see.
That's why I think we should focus on our own goals instead of trying to look rich.
Looking rich and being financially healthy are two very different things.
They really are. Someone driving an expensive car but has no savings may be in a worse financial position than someone with a simple car and a healthy emergency fund.
That's a very important difference.
Real financial success is not always visible from the outside.
Exactly. Sometimes the smartest financial choice is the one nobody else can see.
Saving money, paying bills on time, building an emergency fund, and avoiding unnecessary debt may not look exciting, but they can give you much more peace of mind.
That's so true. I think peace of mind is one of the biggest benefits of managing money well. When you know your bills are paid and you have some money saved, you don't have to worry about every small problem that comes up.
Exactly. Imagine your phone suddenly breaks. If you have some savings, you can replace it without feeling completely stressed. But if you have no savings, even a small unexpected expense can become a big problem.
That's why an emergency fund is such a useful idea. It's basically money you keep for unexpected situations.
Yes, it could be for something like a medical bill, a broken appliance, an urgent repair, or even a temporary loss of income. You hope you never need it, but it's good to have it.
I think having emergency savings also changes the way you look at your money. Instead of thinking, I have extra money so I can spend it, you sometimes think, I have money saved so I am safer.
I like that difference. Savings can give you a feeling of security.
Exactly. And I think that is more valuable than buying something that gives you excitement for a few days.
Sometimes, yes, but I still think we need to enjoy our money too. If someone saves every penny and never does anything fun, they may become unhappy.
I agree. That's why I like the idea of having different parts of your money. Some money is for needs, some is for savings, and some can be for wants and fun.
That sounds very practical. It gives you permission to enjoy yourself without feeling guilty.
Exactly. If I know that I have already taken care of my important expenses and savings, I can enjoy a meal with friends without thinking, I shouldn't be spending this money.
Yes, the problem is not enjoying money. The problem is spending money without knowing whether you can afford it.
That's the difference.
And I think this is where a simple budget can help. You don't need a complicated spreadsheet. You can simply write down how much money comes in and how much money goes out.
That's true. Even a simple list can show you a lot.
For example, you might write your income at the top. Then you list rent, food, transportation, bills, savings, and other expenses. After that, you can see how much money is available for wants.
That sounds easy enough for anyone to try.
Exactly. You don't need to be a financial expert. You just need to know your numbers.
I think know your numbers is good advice. Sometimes people avoid looking at their bank account because they're afraid of what they will see.
I know that feeling. Sometimes you don't want to open the banking app after a weekend of shopping.
Exactly. You think, maybe if I don't look, the money is still there.
Unfortunately, ignoring the number doesn't change the number.
That's very true.
Looking at your money can feel uncomfortable at first, but it gives you information. And once you know what's happening, you can make a plan.
That's an important point. We can't improve something we don't understand.
Exactly. If you don't know how much you spend on food, shopping, transportation, or entertainment, it is difficult to change your habits.
I also think automatic saving can help. If some money goes into savings when you get paid, you don't have to remember to save it later.
Yes, that's a great habit. You can think of savings as paying your future self first.
Paying your future self. I like that phrase.
It means putting some money aside for your future before you spend it all for today.
That makes saving sound much more positive.
It really is. You're not losing that money. You're keeping it for a future need or goal.
Exactly. And maybe that future goal is a house, education, travel, a business, or simply having peace of mind.
Right. Everyone's goal can be different.
Let's talk about something else. What about gifts? Do you think buying gifts is a need or a want?
I think it depends. We don't need to buy expensive gifts, but giving a gift can be an important part of a relationship or a special event.
I agree. Sometimes a small gift can mean a lot.
Exactly. You don't have to spend a lot of money to show someone you care.
That's true. A handwritten note, a homemade meal, or a small thoughtful gift can sometimes be more meaningful than something expensive.
I completely agree. The thought behind the gift matters more than the price.
That's another good money lesson. Price doesn't always equal value.
Exactly. Something can be cheap but very valuable to you.
Like a photo from a special day.
Yes, the photo might cost very little to print, but the memory behind it can be priceless.
I love that. And the opposite is also true. Something can be very expensive but have very little personal value.
Exactly. That's why everyone should decide what matters to them instead of simply following what other people buy.
You know, I think social pressure can make spending difficult too.
Definitely. Imagine your friends always go to expensive restaurants. You might feel like you have to go too, even when it's not comfortable for your budget.
That's happened to me. Sometimes you don't want to say, I can't afford it, because you worry your friends will think differently about you.
But a real friend should understand. You don't have to spend money just to prove that you can fit in.
Exactly. You can suggest something cheaper, like cooking together at someone's house or going for a walk and getting coffee.
Those things can actually be more fun because you have more time to talk.
That's true. I think good friends care more about spending time together than spending money.
Absolutely. If a friendship depends on how much money you spend, that's probably not a very healthy friendship.
I completely agree.
And this is another reason why knowing your own financial limits is important. You should be able to say no when something doesn't fit your budget.
Yes, saying no can be difficult, but it can protect your future.
Exactly. And saying no to one thing doesn't mean you're missing out on everything. You're simply choosing what matters more to you.
That's a powerful way to think about it. We don't need to say yes to every invitation, every sale, every new product, or every trend.
Right. We can choose. And I think having that choice is one of the best things about understanding your money.
Yes, when you understand your money, you can make decisions instead of simply reacting to everything around you.
That's exactly it. I think being in control of your money doesn't mean you never spend. It means you know why you are spending and you feel comfortable with your decision. If I buy something I truly want and I know it fits my budget, I can enjoy it without worrying.
Yes, and I think that feeling is very different from buying something and then feeling guilty 5 minutes later. I've definitely had that experience. I buy something, feel excited for a little while, and then I look at my bank account and think, maybe that wasn't such a good idea.
I've had that feeling too. That's why I try to think about the purchase before I make it, not after. Once the money's gone, thinking about it doesn't change anything.
Exactly. It is better to pause before spending than to regret the purchase later.
I think one useful question is, will I still be happy with this purchase next month?
That's a really good question. Some things give us excitement for one day, but other things continue to be useful for years.
Right. If I buy a good chair that I use every day for 5 years, that might be a better purchase than buying something exciting that I stop using after a week.
Exactly. We should think about how often we will use something. If we use it every day, spending a little more for quality might make sense.
And if we are only going to use it once, maybe renting or borrowing could be better.
That's a great point. We don't always have to buy things. Sometimes we can borrow them from a friend or rent them when we need them.
For example, if I need a special tool for one small repair at home, I don't necessarily need to buy the tool. Maybe a friend already has one.
Exactly. Or if you need something for a special event, you might be able to borrow it instead of buying something you will never use again.
I think sharing things can save a lot of money.
Yes, and it can also reduce waste. If 10 people each buy something they only use once, that's not a lot of unnecessary stuff.
That's true. Sometimes we buy things because we think owning them is important, even when we only need to use them for a short time.
Exactly. We don't always need to own everything we use.
That reminds me of books. I love buying books, but sometimes I have a huge pile of books that I haven't even read yet.
I have the same problem. I see a book that looks interesting, buy it, put it on my shelf, and then another book catches my attention.
And suddenly you have 10 unread books.
Exactly. That's why I started using the library more often. If I really love a book, I can buy my own copy later.
That's a smart idea. You can enjoy reading without buying every book.
Yes, it's a simple way to separate the want from the need.
I think there are many areas of life where we can do that. We don't have to stop enjoying things, we just have to find cheaper ways to enjoy them.
Exactly. Instead of eating at an expensive restaurant, maybe we can cook the same kind of meal at home.
Instead of going to an expensive gym, maybe we can walk or exercise at home.
Instead of buying expensive entertainment, maybe we can watch a movie at home or spend an evening with friends.
Instead of buying new clothes every month, maybe we can create new outfits with the clothes we already have.
Those small choices can add up over time.
And the best part is that you don't necessarily feel like you're missing something.
Right. You're simply choosing a different way to enjoy yourself.
I think that's the key to healthy spending. We shouldn't think of saving as punishment.
Exactly. Saving should feel like a choice that supports your goals.
And spending should also be a choice, not something we do automatically.
Yes, sometimes we spend money because we're bored, because our friends are spending, because something is on sale, or because an advertisement made us feel like we needed it.
But when we stop and think, we can ask ourselves if the purchase really matters.
Exactly. And if the answer is no, we can simply walk away.
I think that's a skill that gets easier with practice.
Definitely. The more often you stop unnecessary purchases, the easier it becomes.
At first, you might feel like you're missing out, but later, you may feel proud that you kept your money.
I agree. And sometimes you can use that saved money for something you really care about.
That's the exciting part. Imagine you save $20 a week.
That's $80 a month.
Exactly. And after a year, that's a lot of money.
Yes, small amounts can become surprisingly large when you keep doing them.
That's something I think beginners should understand about saving. You don't have to start with a huge amount.
Absolutely. Even a small amount is better than nothing if you can do it regularly.
And if your income changes, your savings plan can change too.
Right. Some months may be easier than others. We shouldn't feel like we failed just because we couldn't save the same amount every month.
That's important. Life doesn't always go according to plan.
Exactly. Sometimes we have unexpected expenses. Maybe the car needs repair, maybe a family member needs help, or maybe something at home breaks.
That's why having some emergency savings can make those situations less stressful.
Yes, and I think this is where needs really become important. When something unexpected happens, we have to focus on the most important expenses first.
Right. If the washing machine breaks, fixing it may become a need. Buying a new pair of expensive shoes can wait.
Exactly. Priorities change when circumstances change.
That's something we should remember. A budget isn't a prison, it's a plan, and plans can change.
I love that. A budget should help us, not make us feel trapped.
Yes, if your plan doesn't work, you can change it. You can look at your expenses again and decide what is really important.
And I think it's okay to make mistakes. Maybe you spend too much one month. You don't have to give up. You can look at what happened and try something different next month.
Exactly. Financial habits take time. Nobody becomes perfect with money overnight.
And that's probably one of the most important things to remember. You don't need to completely change your life in one day. You can start with one simple question. Do I need this or do I want this?
And I think that one question can change the way we look at almost everything we buy. Sometimes the answer will be, I need it. Sometimes it will be, I want it. And sometimes we will realize that we don't really want it at all.
Exactly. And I think that's okay. We don't have to feel bad when something is a want. Wants are a normal part of life. We just need to make sure they fit into our financial situation.
Right. For example, I might want a nice dinner with friends this weekend. That's a want, but it doesn't have to be a bad decision if I have enough money for it.
Yes, and maybe you can decide that one nice dinner is enough instead of eating at expensive restaurants 3 times that week.
That's a good example of balance. We don't have to say no to everything. We just have to decide what is worth saying yes to.
Exactly. I think that's one of the biggest changes people can make with their money. Instead of asking, how can I buy everything I want? We can ask, which things are most important to me?
Well, I really like that. It makes money feel more connected to our values and our goals.
Yes. For example, if traveling is very important to me, I might decide not to buy new clothes every month because I would rather use that money for my next trip.
And if buying a house is your main goal, you might choose to save more and spend less on entertainment.
Exactly. The same amount of money can create very different lives depending on how we use it.
That's true. And I think we should also remember that people have different incomes.
Someone who earns more may have more money available for wants, while someone with a smaller income may need to focus almost entirely on basic needs.
Yes, and that's why comparing yourself with other people can be dangerous. You don't know their income, their expenses, their family situation, or their financial goals.
Exactly. Someone may spend $100 on dinner and feel completely comfortable, while another person may need that same money for an important bill.
That's why I don't think we should judge people based on what they buy.
I agree. But I also think we can learn from good financial habits when we see them.
Definitely. If a friend is good at saving money, we can ask how they do it. Maybe they have a simple system that could help us too.
And if someone is always spending more than they earn, we can learn from that too.
Exactly. Sometimes other people's mistakes can teach us what not to do.
I think one of the biggest mistakes is trying to look rich.
Yes, trying to impress people can become very expensive.
Imagine buying expensive clothes, a luxury car, and a big house only because you want other people to think you're successful.
That can create a lot of pressure. You might have beautiful things around you, but still worry about money every day.
Exactly. I would rather have a simple lifestyle and feel financially comfortable than have expensive things and constant stress.
Same here. I think real financial confidence is being able to make choices without feeling pressure from other people.
That's a good definition of financial confidence.
Thank you. I think it means knowing what you can afford, knowing what matters to you, and being comfortable saying no when necessary.
I like that. And I think saying no is one of the hardest money skills.
Definitely, especially when your friends say, "Come on, everyone's going."
Or when someone says, it's only $20.
Yes, $20 can be a small amount for one person and a big amount for another.
Exactly. That's why we should not let other people decide how we spend our money.
We can still enjoy time with friends without spending a lot. We can have coffee at home, take a walk, cook together, play games, or simply sit and talk.
Some of my best memories with friends cost almost nothing.
Mine too. Sometimes we just sit somewhere and talk for hours.
And those conversations can be more valuable than an expensive night out.
Absolutely.
Honey, I think we should give our listeners a simple challenge.
I like the sound of that. What kind of challenge?
For the next 7 days, before buying anything that isn't necessary, stop for 10 seconds and ask yourself 3 questions.
Okay, I'm listening.
First, do I need this?
Good.
Second, can I afford this?
Very important.
And third, would I rather use this money for something else?
I really like those 3 questions. They're simple enough to remember, but they can make us stop and think before spending.
Exactly. And if the answer is still yes after those questions, then maybe it is a good purchase.
And if the answer is no, we can simply wait.
Right. We don't have to make every decision immediately.
Sometimes waiting is the smartest financial decision.
I think our listeners can try this challenge with something small first. Maybe the next time they want to order food, buy clothes, or purchase something online, they can ask themselves those 3 questions.
And if you're listening right now, we'd love to know how it goes. You can share your experience in the comments. Tell us about something you wanted to buy but decided to wait for.
Yes, maybe you wanted a new phone, a pair of shoes, a game, or something for your home. Tell us what happened after you waited.
You might even discover that you don't want the item anymore.
Exactly, and that can be a very useful lesson.
I think another good habit is making a list of things you want instead of buying them immediately.
I do that sometimes. If I want something, I write it down. Then I can look at the list later and decide if I still want it.
That's smart because it separates the feeling of wanting something from the actual decision to buy it.
Yes, sometimes I look at my list after a month and think, why did I want that?
I've done that too. Sometimes I don't even remember why I added the item.
And that's when you know it wasn't important.
Exactly. I also think we should be careful with subscriptions.
Oh yes, subscriptions can be tricky because each payment may look small.
Exactly. $5 here, $10 there, another subscription for an app, another one for music, another one for videos, and suddenly you're paying a lot every month.
That's why I like checking my subscriptions regularly. If I haven't used something in months, I ask myself why I'm still paying for it.
That's a great habit. Sometimes we keep paying for something simply because we forgot about it.
Yes, and that money could be used for something more useful.
So even small financial habits can make a difference.
Definitely. You don't need to make huge changes. Small decisions repeated over time can have a big effect. And I think that is probably the real lesson of today's conversation. Being good with money is not about never buying anything. It's about understanding the difference between what we need, what we want, and what truly matters to us.
Exactly. When we understand that difference, we can spend with more confidence, save with a clear purpose, and enjoy our money without letting it control us.
I really like that. And I think there's one more thing we should talk about. How our idea of a need can change over time. Something we think is necessary today might not feel important a few years from now.
That's true. Our lives change, our jobs change, our families change, and our priorities change. Because of that, the way we use our money should also change.
Exactly. When I was younger, having the latest technology felt very important to me. Now I care more about comfort, saving money, and having time for the people I love.
I understand that. My priorities have changed too. I used to spend more money on clothes because I wanted to look different all the time. Now I prefer having fewer clothes that I really like and actually wear.
That's a good example. You didn't stop caring about clothes, you simply changed the way you think about them.
Exactly. I think that happens naturally as we learn more about ourselves.
And I think children can learn these ideas too. Parents can teach them that money is limited and that choices are important.
Yes, even simple things can teach children about money. For example, if a child wants a new toy, parents can explain that they can either buy the toy now or save the money for something bigger later.
That teaches them that money involves choices.
Exactly. And I think giving children a small amount of money to manage can also teach them responsibility.
That's true. They can learn to save some, spend some, and think about what they really want.
Yes, they will probably make mistakes, but mistakes can be good lessons.
I agree. Adults make money mistakes too, so we shouldn't expect children to be perfect.
Exactly. The important thing is learning from the mistake.
You know, I think one of the hardest things about money is saying, I can't afford it.
Yes, some people feel embarrassed when they say that.
But there's nothing embarrassing about having a budget or choosing not to spend money.
Absolutely. In fact, saying I can't afford it right now can be a sign that you are being responsible.
I like the words right now. Maybe you can afford it later, after saving for it.
Exactly. You don't have to say I'll never have it. You can say it's not a priority right now.
That's a much healthier way to think.
Yes, and sometimes waiting makes you appreciate the thing more when you finally buy it.
That's true. If you save for something for 6 months, you probably think much more carefully about whether you really want it.
And when you finally buy it, you can enjoy it without feeling guilty because you planned for it. That's very different from buying something suddenly and then worrying about the payment later.
Definitely. Planning can make spending more enjoyable. I think that's a great point. People sometimes think budgeting removes all the fun from life, but good budgeting can actually create more freedom.
Exactly. If you plan your money, you know what you can spend. That can make you feel more relaxed.
And you don't have to check your bank account every 5 minutes wondering if you can afford something.
That's true. You know, I also think using cash or a spending limit can help some people control their spending.
Yes, if you have a fixed amount for entertainment or shopping, you know when you've reached your limit.
But for some people, using a card is easier because they can track everything digitally.
Right. There isn't one perfect method. People should choose the system that works best for them.
Exactly. The important thing is being aware of your spending.
And I think we should talk about borrowing money too.
That's a good one. Borrowing can sometimes be necessary, but we should be careful.
Yes, if you borrow money, you usually have to pay it back. That future payment should be part of your plan.
Exactly. Sometimes people think I can buy it now and worry about paying later, but later always comes.
That's very true. The future version of you has to deal with today's decisions. That's why I like thinking about future me before making a big purchase.
Me too. I ask myself, will future me be happy that I bought this, or will future me be annoyed?
That's actually a great question.
It works for me.
Another thing that can help is setting financial goals.
Yes, goals give our money a direction.
For example, someone might say, I want to save $1,000 this year.
Or I want to pay off my debt.
Or I want to save enough money for a vacation.
Or even something small like I want to stop ordering food every day.
That's a good goal because it can also save money.
Exactly. And when you reach a goal, it feels good because you can see your progress.
I think people should celebrate progress, even if the progress is small.
Definitely. If you save your first $100, that's something to be proud of.
Then maybe you reach 500, then 1,000, and slowly you build a stronger financial habit.
Yes, the first step can be the hardest, but once you start, it can become easier.
I think the same is true with spending. If you stop one unnecessary purchase today, that is already progress.
Exactly. You don't need to become perfect overnight.
You just need to make better decisions more often.
Yes, and sometimes you'll make a bad decision. That's normal.
You might buy something you don't need.
You might spend too much one weekend,
You might forget to save.
but you can learn from it and start again.
That's probably the healthiest way to think about money.
I agree. Money should not become a source of shame. It should be something we learn to understand and manage.
Exactly. And I think that's why conversations like this are useful. We can talk about everyday situations in simple English while also thinking about our own financial habits.
Yes, and hopefully everyone listening can take one small idea from today's conversation and use it in real life.
Maybe it's the 3 questions before buying something.
Maybe it's tracking your spending for 1 week.
Maybe it's canceling a subscription you don't use.
Maybe it's saving a small amount every week.
Or maybe it's simply looking at your bank account and understanding where your money is going.
Any of those can be a good first step.
And if you're enjoying this conversation, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us continue making simple and natural English conversations for you.
And while you're here, think about one thing you want to change about your money habits. Maybe you want to save more, spend less, or simply understand your budget better. You can write your goal in the comments and make it your first small step.